Hello, in this video we're going to discuss how to set up your pipe chanter. 2 or 3 things are needed in order to set up your pipe chanter. Obviously the chanter, a good reed, and preferably some sort of tuner. I like the saw tuner myself because it's already set for bagpipe intervals and lets you see exactly where each note lies with regard to the chanter scale. You can also use other types of tuners, but a tuner is essential unless you have an exceptional ear, which a lot of people don't, and it's difficult to hear what a bagpipe should sound like if you're new to it. It can be a very big mystery, especially the top hand. But this is just a basic video covering some very basic topics. You'll take your reed, place it in the chanter, and you'll blow high A and low A while looking at the chanter, at the tuner. And you want the tuner to indicate where the chanter is pitching. The saw tuner has a readout on it telling you exactly what pitch you're at. I've already tested this particular reed in this chanter, and it's pitching at 475 on the tuner. So you want your low A and your high A to be 1 octave apart. So basically with a tuner, what that means is as you hold low A and blow and you release to high A, the needle should not move. It should be at the same pitch, or very slightly flat on the high A versus the low A. To change the way the pitch is setting, you can raise or lower the reed in the reed seat. To do this, you can add or remove hemp from the bottom of the reed. If you add hemp to the reed, it will sit higher up in the pipe chanter, which will make the top hand flatter in relation to the low hand. If you take hemp off the bottom of the reed and sink the reed into the chanter, it will make the top hand higher in pitch in relation to the low hand. So those are the 2 basic methods of adjusting a reed in a pipe chanter. What else was I going to mention? If a reed is extremely flat when you get it, this is probably because the tips have opened up on you. The farther apart the tips are, the flatter the reed is going to play. So if your chanter is a modern chanter, it should be pitching somewhere around 475 at, say, 75 or even 76 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature you're playing at also greatly affects your pitch. So, but that's a baseline. This, for example, is a Shepherd Mark III chanter. Most reeds will pitch between 475 and 480 in this chanter. Basically, when you set a reed in the chanter and take the reading off the low A, you're going to see what your baseline pitch is for that reed in that chanter at that temperature. And the key item here that you want to do is balance the high A and the low A so that they're an octave apart. So if the the low A is reading at 475, you want to adjust that reed in the chanter either higher or lower in order to bring those into balance so that they're both at the same pitch. Or again, the high A could be very slightly flat. So if your low A was at 475, you could pitch the high A at, say, 472 or 473. Just enough to let it come up in pitch as the pipes are played. As the reed takes on moisture, the top hand is going to sharpen a little bit. If you're playing in warmer weather, the top hand will also be more affected than the low hand, and it will raise in pitch. So those are a couple techniques on how to set up your pipe chanter. Again, I highly recommend the saw tuner because you can see exactly where each note is, and it takes a lot of frustration away from the piper in trying to get each note just right. If you have some notes that are particularly sharp, these are very easily corrected by applying tape to the holes on the chanter. So the way to do this, say your E was sharp. Here's your E note. Notice that this hole is exposed when playing E. So you would simply put a little bit of tape over the top of that hole. And what that effectively does is lower that hole on the chanter, thus making it flatter, thus correcting the sharp E. If it was F that was sharp, this is the next hole that is exposed, so you would apply tape there, and so on and so forth. For C, it would be this hole. For D, this hole, and so on and so forth. And of course your low G holes are at the very bottom. They can also be taped. If a note is very flat, there's several ways that you can correct this. The most obvious answer at first is to try a different reed or adjust where the reed is sitting in the chanter. For example, say your C is very flat. One thing you could do is sink the reed deeper into the chanter, which will bring the C up. It will also bring all of the notes up. But if you brought the C up to where you needed it, you could then tape the low A and the B in order to bring those into balance with the C. That's one way of doing that. If you find that your chanter is consistently flat on a certain note, say C for example, say you've tried 3 or 4 different types of reeds, different makes of reeds, and the C is just consistently always flat, then the chances are you need to carve out the hole to bring that C into balance with the rest of the chanter. But that is a last resort. But even though it's a last resort, it's not something to be feared. It's something that's actually quite easy to do, but it's highly recommended that you find someone who knows what they're doing so that they can show you how this is done. It's easy to ruin a chanter by going about it in a sloppy manner that makes the hole jagged and look terrible. But of course it's very easily corrected with tape, so it's not like you're wrecking a chanter by carving a hole. I mean, many people do this today. It's a very common practice and not something to be feared. So those are some basic tips on how to adjust your chanter with your reed. Keep in mind that reeds do sharpen up as they're played in, so you want to be working with a reed that's been at least played for a week or broken in. The top hand notes especially will sharpen up as time goes on with the reed and as they take on moisture. So, but as far as basics, this is a good guide for that. If there's anything that baffles you about pitch or reeds, you can feel free to contact me, and I will be glad to help you out with anything else.